Okay, let's set the scene. It's Cairo. Sunday, June 4th, 2023. The heat of the day is just starting to break, and inside the Nasser Institute Hospital, everything is humming along as usual.
Right, the typical evening buzz of a busy hospital.
Exactly. And in the middle of all that is Dr. Osama Tawfik. He's 30 years old, a really successful orthopedic surgeon. By all accounts, he's well-liked, good at his job, and he's just getting ready for a normal week.
A week that was supposed to end with him at a friend's wedding.
But then, at 7:00 p.m., his phone rings.
An unknown number. And that call, that single moment, it's the point where everything just completely derailed.
He takes it, has a quick conversation, and then tells a colleague he has to step out. It's a house call, he says. Urgent.
And he even gives a time frame, right?
Yeah, he says, I'll be back in 30 minutes to finish his shift. He walks out of the hospital into the Cairo night, and that is the last time anyone saw Dr. Osama Tawfik walk anywhere on his own.
For his family, those first few days must have been just agonizing. He wasn't the kind of person to just, disappear.
Not at all. His phone goes silent. Then it's just off. A friend shows up for the wedding a few days later, and his home is just empty.
8 full days of that silence, that's when they had to face it. He was officially missing.
And that void of information is what makes these cases so terrifying. But this wasn't a case that stayed cold. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the story of the Sahel Doctor. It's a case defined by an almost unbelievable level of betrayal and some of the most chilling premeditation you'll ever come across.
So the official investigation kicks off on Monday, June 12th, 8 days after he vanished.
And police go straight to the most obvious place, surveillance cameras near the hospital.
Which pays off almost immediately. They see Dr. Osama leaving, just as his colleague said. They see him meet one person on the street.
Right, and then they see him enter a residential building with that person. So at first, it looks like, okay, maybe this is just the house call he mentioned.
But the police, they keep watching. They scrub through hours and hours of footage from later that night.
And this is where the story just takes this dark, unbelievable turn. Near dawn, hours later, Dr. Osama is seen on camera again.
But he's not walking.
No, he's slumped in a wheelchair, completely incapacitated, and he's being pushed down the street by 2 men.
That image just changes everything. This is no longer a missing person. It's a violent crime in progress.
And the police, they quickly identify that second man, the other person pushing the wheelchair.
And it's a bombshell. It's Dr. Ahmed Shehta, Dr. Osama's close colleague, his business partner.
The moment that ID is made, the entire investigation pivots straight to the private clinic they own together in the Sahel area.
Right, so police head there to question Shehta, but they're met by another doctor who's covering for him, says he's on leave.
A convenient leave of absence. But the clinic itself, it couldn't hide the truth.
No, the scene itself was screaming that something was wrong. The first thing that hit the investigators was just this awful smell, a powerful, sickening odor.
And it's not just the smell. They see signs of recent renovation.
Yeah, fresh plaster on the walls, digging tools just left lying around, bags of dirt and debris. It didn't look like maintenance. It looked like a cover-up.
The smell of decay mixed with the smell of new plaster. What a horrifying combination. Forensics comes in and they find blood traces.
And then they notice it, a small section of tile that looks just a little too new.
Where was it?
Underneath the refrigerator. A huge, heavy appliance. They move it, and it's obvious. The tile has been recently laid.
It was a perfect hiding spot, really. No one would just casually look under a fridge.
Exactly. They knew they had found it. They start digging, and right there, buried beneath the floor of his own clinic, they discover the body of Dr. Osama Tawfik.
The discovery leads to Shehta's arrest. He'd fled to Upper Egypt trying to hide. The second man from the footage is also picked up.
But the interrogations is something even darker. It wasn't just 2 of them. It was a trio. There was a female accomplice involved.
This is where we get into this triangle of betrayal. So at the top, you have the mastermind, Dr. Ahmed Shehta.
His motive was pure, corrosive jealousy and greed. Dr. Osama was successful. He was well-liked. His family was wealthy. Shehta saw all of that.
And the real threat was the future, wasn't it? Dr. Osama was planning to open a new clinic with his brother from Saudi Arabia backing him financially.
Absolutely. Shehta saw himself being left behind. He saw his friend's success as his own personal failure.
Then you have the second person, Iman Mohamed. She's a 28-year-old lawyer. She was the lure.
And her connection to Shehta was a secret. They had a common-law marriage, had been together for years, and she was his receptionist in college.
And he promised her a formal wedding, financial security. Basically, a cut of the loot.
Her role was purely transactional. And the third conspirator,
Ahmed Farag. the muscle, a 27-year-old nurse who worked at another of Shehta's clinics.
And Shehta sold this to him not just on greed, but as an act of revenge. He framed Dr. Osama as someone who deserved this, promising Farag a percentage of the ransom they expected to get.
What's so disturbing here is the planning. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a project. The plan was hatched in May of 2023, a whole month before.
The goal was simple on the surface. Lure him out, rob him, and then extort a massive ransom from his very wealthy family.
But the preparations?
Yeah.
They are just bone-chilling. Get this. Shehta and Farag go to a local shop and buy digging tools, shovels, picks.
And nitric acid.
Wait, nitric acid?
Yeah, nitric acid. That tells you everything. That's not something you buy for a simple robbery. That's for destroying evidence. Or a body.
So from the very beginning, they were planning for his death.
It seems so. At the same time, Iman goes and gets anesthetic, drugs, and syringes, using a prescription from Shehta to make it look legitimate.
And this is the part that is just beyond comprehension. They go to the clinic, the one he co-owned, and they dig a grave in advance.
A month before the crime, they dug the grave in the clinic floor, hid the tools, hid the drugs, and then just went back to work.
Can you even imagine that? Seeing patients, interacting with Dr. Osama every day, knowing his grave is waiting just a few feet below them.
To keep the clinic clean, Farag also rented a temporary apartment that was going to be the ambush site.
So June 4th arrives. Iman makes the call. She invents this story about her elderly, bedridden mother needing an urgent house call.
A story perfectly designed to appeal to a dedicated doctor like Osama.
He falls for it completely. He leaves the hospital, meets Farag, who's posing as the woman's brother, and follows him to the rental apartment.
The second he walks through that door, the trap is sprung. Shehta and Farag attack him. They hit him on the head. They shock him with an electric device until he's unconscious.
Then they tie him up and give him the first shot of anesthetic. They grab his wallet.
And this is their first disappointment. There's some cash, but nowhere near what they were expecting.
They smash his phone, take out the SIM card, but the plan is still ransom. So for 2 full days, they keep him tied up in that apartment.
And it's just systematic torture. Every single time he starts to regain consciousness, they inject him with more anesthetic. They're just keeping him in this medically induced state.
It's so cruel.
Yeah.
But after 2 days, they get paranoid. They're worried about being discovered in the rental apartment.
So they decide to move him. They give him a third dose of anesthetic to make sure he's completely out for the transport.
And that brings us back to that horrifying wheelchair footage. Pushing their victim through the streets at dawn like he's just cargo.
They take him to the one place they prepared, back to his own clinic.
He's kept there for 2 more days.
Yep.
Tied up, drugged, no food, no water, 4 days in total.
And when he starts to wake up again in the clinic, that's when they panic. That's the final moment.
They give him a 4th injection, and that dose, it kills him instantly.
The choice to use the clinic was just so cold and pragmatic. It was on the ground floor, so it was easy to use the pre-dug grave. And they hoped it would draw any police attention away from the apartment where the real crime happened.
So they planned every single detail, the luring, the ambush, the grave. But they were undone by basic biology.
The one thing they couldn't control, the smell. That was the fatal flaw in their otherwise meticulous plan.
After he's caught, Shehta even tries to spin these wild stories, right? Blaming it on organ traffickers or currency dealers.
Oh yeah, a desperate attempt to create confusion, to point the finger at some big, shadowy organization instead of what it really was.
Yeah.
Simple, ugly, personal greed.
But the evidence was just overwhelming. The timeline, the drugs, the grave, it all pointed directly at them.
And on October 8th, 2023, just a few months later, justice was delivered. All 3 of them, Shehta, Iman, and Farag, were referred to the Grand Mufti for the death penalty.
It's just a devastating end to a story about how trust can be weaponized, where a so-called friend and colleague planned every single step to not just rob, but to completely erase someone from the world.
And it really leaves you with a chilling question, doesn't it? What level of envy has to fester inside a person, not just to want what their friend has, but to go out, buy a shovel, and pre-dig their grave? Is true evil found in a spontaneous act, or is it found in the cold, logistical planning of death itself?